Hey, good afternoon. Mike and Sarah from Swift Current Farms. Thanks for having me again. Appreciate
Likewise,
Thanks for swinging on over.
Yeah.
It's always good having you.
Yeah, great being here. Like you said earlier, Sarah, about like last time, I mean, it was like 100 degrees in the airstream. And then today on my way here, it was negative 17. So
Yeah, it's cold today for sure.
Both sides of the weather. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's been within, I mean, I guess it's 2023, I guess, the first time we sat down. But I mean, it's been within 12 months, right? Since
Oh,
we-
yeah, I think I had like 6.
About 6 July.
Yeah.
Like July was
So
when-
almost exactly 6 months ago,
Oh,
which is
wow.
crazy.
It is crazy. And the stuff you guys have done, I mean, just watching you guys on social media before I even like came back here, like just huge. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like all you guys' updates. And I love watching the videos you guys put up on what you guys are doing here at the farm. And I mean, like it's more than doubled. I don't know what you guys would say like.
Oh, quadrupled,
Yeah,
I
that's what I
would
was
say.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we get like those tents that we're showing you that aren't online yet, we just got a few more things to get for those. And once those are online, we'll basically be at max production
Oh wow.
for this facility.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And we're trying to work out a deal to actually get the other wing of this building.
Oh, really?
So
Yeah.
this space over there.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Now-
that's in the works right now.
That's incredible. Like we were talking just a little earlier, like 6 months, you know, like in any industry to grow that much. I mean, you guys are doing awesome. And
Absolutely.
And I mean, it's like there's definitely a need for it for sure. Obviously, as you guys are growing, but also like the man, was it this word I was thinking? Oh, the just the hard work and the research you guys have put in to be able to like also sustain it. Because like you guys
Yeah.
were saying earlier, like not busy enough for you, but
Busy.
busy like to
yeah.
be, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Our
Yeah.
growth has definitely, I mean, there's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears,
yeah.
especially these
Yeah.
last like 4 months. Whereas like, can we actually do this? And it's like, no, we can. We can't, just out of pure stubbornness.
Yeah, just positive.
Yeah.
We got it.
Yeah, optimism and
Yeah.
stubbornness, I think, has really carried us as far and as fast as we have been going. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
It's one of those where it's almost failure is not an option. We've got so much time and money invested in it. It's
Yeah.
like we can't walk away. We have to make sure it succeeds one way or another.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you earlier, so she's at the farm full time. I'm at the farm full time, and that's only been since the 26th of December.
yeah, so right after Christmas, I'd
Yeah.
taken a jump and was like, all right, guys, here's my 1 month notice. I'm done after Christmas, and whether it's gonna, stress us out more financially, so be it.
Yeah.
Because he was coming home, just you could see it on him, like just the stress and the pure exhaustion
Just
of
wore
trying
out.
to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She would get here at 3:00 in the morning. Mm-hmm. She would work till about 6:30.
Yeah.
I'd get here about 5:30. We'd kind of talk for a few minutes,
A
kind of
little
in
bit,
passing.
yeah.
Yeah.
She'd go home, take care of the kids,
Yep.
get them off school. She goes to work, and then I'm here by myself, running everything and sterilizing and all that.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't get out of here till 7:00 at night.
8, sometimes 10,
Holy
And
just
that's,
depending. Yeah.
and that's every day.
man.
We haven't had a
7
day
days a
off
week.
in
Oh.
over a year.
Yeah, it's been well over a year that we've had a whole day off.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys were passionate about it,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Passion
so it's-
carries you, for
It's
sure.
just one of them where we have to do it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like, oh boy, maybe I'll just kind of
You got to make it or
push
make
this
it.
off
That's
a little
it.
bit.
Yeah.
No, you just got to get it done, and you have to do it.
Yeah, totally. And
So.
like all the things you guys were talking about earlier to make the whole every part of this thing grow, and it's you know, hear people talk about their business being like another baby, and
Oh,
that's what
yeah.
it sounds like for you guys
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we're like in the toddler stages now.
oh yeah,
Like,
starting to walk a little bit.
yeah, yeah, and getting into everything, and the stress level of that is
Yeah.
definitely, and then
Yeah.
hopefully we'll have a full-fledged adult here,
Yeah,
in the next couple
totally.
of years. So
Well, and like you guys were just telling me about the growing pains too, like just the lion's mane, coming up a different color all of a sudden and being like, what in the world?
yeah, that was, having pink lion's mane and not knowing exactly what it was. We're like researching, and then it's like, oh, this person said this, but this person said that, and then we just had to like, okay, let's try our oxygen flow. Okay, that did better. Our humidity. Okay, temperature, was that it?
Yeah.
And then I just tweaked it.
Yeah, but it bounced back pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
that's
looks
the
great.
thing with mushrooms is they're so resilient. As long as you give them what they want, they'll produce really good, high quality mushrooms for you. You just
Yeah.
got to be able to find out what they want.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and like we were talking, actually goes to something I wanted to talk about too. Is like how we were talking about the patience and then just the communication. Like they're telling you, you just
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
They'll tell you if they're not happy.
Yep.
And then it's up to you to figure out why they're not happy
Yeah.
and make them happy, and then they just snap out of it and they're beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Like you said, the resiliency to be able to, because like I didn't see the pink side of him, but I see him now, and like you said, it looks just like
gorgeous.
a beautiful lines being
Yeah,
watched.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should have seen it last week. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Just,
Couldn't imagine.
I was
yeah.
on the brink of tears. Like,
Yeah, because I think I put in, it was like 60 or 70 blocks.
Yeah, it was-
And
yeah.
then to watch them just struggle.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of time and a lot of money. That's like, you're supposed to be going to someone's house.
Yeah.
you're supposed to be feeding somebody. Why are you doing
Yeah.
this?
So, but yeah, once we figured out that airflow,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh. And then we're high-fiving and dancing around.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look, they're so pretty now.
Yeah.
Oh, gorgeous. Well, and the thing is too, because you guys hadn't changed anything, so all of a sudden to have something like change, on the production side of things, like the
Yeah.
color, you're like,
Yeah, and
"Ooh."
Mike actually completely flipped over into a new tent thinking it was the tent.
Oh yeah.
And then rerouted all of the exhaust and everything, and then it was like, okay, they're still not. And so I was like, let's open up this and open up that, and he was like, okay, let's try to make sure that the CO2 was okay, and found out it wasn't okay, and that we needed to adjust the oxygen differences and the airflow. So
Yeah, I gotta figure it
Yeah.
out. About how long was the whole process until you guys got it turned around? A few days? Or?
It's about
about a week.
It
Yeah.
would be a rough week. 'Cause my
Yeah,
brain
it
would be going
was.
Bananas.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
we were
it was.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a struggle, but
Yeah.
we figured it out.
Yeah.
And it was just those simple things like showing you putting that box fan in front of that fresh airport that was inside. Mm-hmm. It was, and you could feel before that. You can feel because we have so much suction through the tents with our exhaust system going out the building. It's supposed to be feeding the fresh air in. Well, I just don't know if that port's not big enough or what. But as soon as we put that box fan in front of it to suck more air in, and then open up a couple ports. Yeah, they just within the next day you could see.
I was like, oh, they're turning white, and then the next couple of days it was like, okay, this is it. That's all they needed.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Especially the investment and the time, like to get to that point where they're in the blocks
Yeah.
you called them, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get into that stage, I mean, it is like a little baby, and all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, now
Yeah.
it's healthy and
Yeah.
growing.
Yeah, because that's a lot of time and money because it all starts with the grain spawn and soaking the grain, sterilizing the grain, taking it in the lab. She inoculates the grain. It's
Yep.
2 weeks for that to get
To colonize.
Oh, 2 weeks.
And then we're
Yeah.
making the blocks, sterilizing those, and then taking the grain in the blocks, and the whole process to
It's like a
watch it.
month long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
we can't afford to have all you just go to hell.
Wow, man. I mean, we talked about it last time and a little bit today, but it could be such a razor's edge if like something, and even out of your control, but even like something in your control, if you
Yeah.
didn't know you're doing it, say like me, if I was doing it and I was getting a little sloppy on something, and all of a sudden, like you said, you wipe out a month of work. Oh man, like you put in like even just a normal 9 to 5 terms, like a month could be 2 paychecks for like most people.
Oh,
Yeah.
So it's like
Oh,
2
absolutely.
paychecks gone.
Gone, yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
when we have our CSAs and working with some of the restaurants and stuff that we do,
And now we're partnering with the co-op.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah, they're wanting their mushrooms.
Yeah.
They expect us,
On time.
which they should. They expect us to deliver mushrooms on time, quality mushrooms. That's our job. That's what this farm's about. And when you have a whole tent just going to hell, it's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's not a good.
It's heart-wrenching.
feeling, but
Yeah.
it's life of a farmer.
Yeah, that's a good
You
point,
know?
man. And like you said, and not just with mushrooms either, just with anyone's farm, like it, with whatever might come up. And luckily, you guys are in control, so you don't have to worry about like hail or
Yeah.
dust
Yeah.
storms or something.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
you never know what could get introduced on accident. But I mean, you guys, and that would be like me pulling my hair out if I were in you guys' shoes, because like you guys walked me through the process today, and it's so clean, so sterile. The whole process is meticulous. And then to have all of a sudden something like that.
yeah. It's like, where did we screw up?
Yeah, you got all
And
the
then-
bases covered, It's
Yeah.
like from start to finish, and it'd been working,
Yeah,
Oh,
yep.
Yeah, and that's what's weird is, like the fruits before that, everything was looking great, and then all of a sudden, it just went to hell. It's like, how can everything be perfect, and then the next day or the next round of blocks that I put in there, they're just crap.
They're coming out pink.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we were thinking of everything, you know, all the heat, humidity, air, all that, and then even the mycelium.
Yeah,
asking
like,
her, I mean,
Did you do a different strain? I was like, no, it's the same strain we've had for months.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same thing. And
so,
yeah.
And there's so many steps.
There's a lot.
It's like, what step did we miss? What step got screwed up? So yeah, you're thinking all the way through the production area, all the way through the lab and everything, and it's like, there's a step in here that we are missing that is going to help us, but we just have to keep calm and figure it out.
Yeah.
Because we get a little testy sometimes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can totally see it. 'Cause, like, even with me, like in the editing part, you know, because that's like the most time-consuming thing for me typically. Because this is all fun. Like, I was telling you guys,
right.
pick your guys' brain on all this cool stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into mushroom farming, but it's super interesting to me because I'm a mushroom enthusiast, as we talked about last time. But like to see the process and to see like all the things, like you said, even the problem solving of the pink mushroom, it's like, man, this is so cool to me. So like this part's fun, but then I get into the editing part, and I'm like, the process, and it's like if something like just trimming a clip or something little tiny, I'm like, why is this not working? Or if like the volume, the video and the audio get off. I've been doing the same thing for months, almost 2 years now. I'm like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And that's even like way smaller of a process. I got like 5 things that probably went wrong. I could like backtrack, but you guys got like probably 100 things, huh?
There's a lot. I mean, even like with this new sterilizer we built, we're really hoping that we're cooking it long enough. At 20 hours, and we won't know until the bags get fully colonized. They're either going to get colonized with mycelium or mold. And so we did the first batch was like 70, and then I did 107 I think a couple days ago, and then she inoculates them. So that's 214 pounds of substrate, which is 107 pounds of oak, 107 pounds of soy, all the time. That bags everything, and we're hoping that that's long enough. And then if it's not, the whole 100's toast goes in the trash. And then we cook it longer to see. So it is those little steps. It's like,
and then like you lose like all that product, all that time. Oh man, brutal. Well, then like you guys were telling me earlier about there's no like map or blueprint for this. Like there's a little bit like you guys are picking up from the community, but then like that 20 hours good enough. Well, trial and error, find out. If it's mold,
bootstrapping for sure.
And when we're on like YouTube searching, how to build these sterilizers and stuff, and there's even everyone will say it. There's no set time. Okay, you've got this many pounds at this temperature, blah blah blah. They're like, we just do it between 20 and 24 hours. So it's like, okay, that's 4 hours. It's a lot of time. Where I could be doing something to actually get another load going or something. So is it 20? Is it 24? Is it 18 maybe? Because there's some guys out there that's like, I do it for 20, but that might be a little overkill. I could probably do it for less. It's like there's no set numbers except for like your temperature, humidity, what they kind of need to be. But as far as like sterilizing and stuff, it's just trial and error. I mean, everything almost everything is trial and error when it comes to these.
Dang, that's so wild. Because like you said, you shave off. Like if it's 24 hours and then you could be going at 18 hours, if you end up cooking at 24, because it's just what you went with. Like, like you said, that's 6 hours. Where like you'd be doing a bunch of stuff in 6 hours.
You can.
But even if you 20 to 18, that's 2 hours extra hours. To do other stuff. Around here. Or maybe take a coffee break.
Exactly.
Or that could be a whole cool down time to cool the blocks. Where I can actually open it up and put another round in and all that, because we're trying to maximize our total output of this building. We're trying to use every square inch. We're trying to use every minute. And so when we have demand for 600 pounds a week, then I have to get creative then on how fast I can turn around on the substrate and how to sterilize them. Like this morning, it was done at 7 this morning. I cracked it. I shut it off, cracked it open a little bit, got a little fan in there just to try to cool them down a little bit, try to get a lot of that steam just condensed in the bottom, and then get it cool enough where I could take them out, put the other ones in, and actually vacuum out the bottom and all that stuff, because there's steps in that. But it's just getting that extra.
Like hour,
Yeah,
an hour
hour.
difference is like a grace around here.
When we're trying to produce so much out of what we have, you have to become creative to maximize and get the most efficiency out of your equipment and everything.
Yeah, jeez. And then like you said, you guys are building stuff. Like it's kind of like a little bit of a bubble that you guys have in there, right? So like when you got, at least that's how I was interpreting when you guys were telling me, like with the humidity, with the new sterilizer, it's like now you got more humidity you're introducing, so you're trying to figure out how to mitigate that. Like it's like you add something, but then you gotta like do something else.
Yeah.
And humidity, and I'll kind of admit to a fault in a way, I get super anal about my processes and stuff.
But as a consumer, I like that.
But and I don't know really if the humidity hurts it a ton.
Yeah.
But if I could have a baseline on the humidity in the building itself, then I can control the humidity in the tents better. The same with the CO2 level.
Yeah.
If I know the exact CO2 level in the facility, and then I can control the CO2 level in the tents a lot better because I know what I'm starting with.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if I really need to do it that way, but my mind, I need to do it that way.
Yeah, well, and then you got concrete things, right, to kind of pivot off of, it feels like to me, like then, like, well, I know this, so then this is this, versus, and with all this being a lot of the trial and error stuff, at least then you got like some hard points to go off of.
Yeah.
Because that's how I would work too, I think.
Yeah, yeah, because if I can eliminate, things off my checklist where it could be from the start and get those cemented in, a certain parameter, and then all the other little things are a little easier to handle.
Yeah.
But it is hard, like we were talking back there, it's hard right now because we've been upgrading so much and so frequent that we really don't have a baseline for most of the stuff we do back there. I mean, even the flow. We just got this set up. Well, hell, I just started cooking in the new sterilizer last week.
Yeah.
And the tents, all the tents, the sterilizer, all that, all the new stuff got put in within the last 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, it seemed like before, like when we first talked, it was almost every 2 to 3 weeks we were adding a tent.
And rearranging and trying to,
stuff. And so we have yet to have like 2 solid months where everything is set and we're just running.
Dang.
It's just.
And I don't know if we'll ever get there.
No, that's what I was going to say. Just from, it's a little bit of time I've known you guys. It doesn't seem like it's going to slow down at all.
No. I mean, we'll get to a point where we have to like hire and train, and then that's a whole nother realm. Managing other people and whatnot. So.
Yeah, trust.
That's a big part.
Run your business and do it and have the same kind of care, right?
And passion behind it. Yeah.
Too, It's even with me, like I thought about trying to outsource like my editing at least to somebody else, even like a friend, but even then like they wouldn't really know like why I want to keep something in there or what is important to me. So it's like I don't know.
It's a hard juggling to do.
Yeah.
It's like at what point do we have to?
Yeah, you guys are gonna be forced to. Like, me, I could probably do it myself forever, but you guys are probably gonna be forced into it.
Yeah.
But like you said, you guys were telling me just a little bit ago, like the blocks and how you guys cut them even, and how you get the fruiting body right out of it. And there's might be some room to maximize that more, but you guys don't even have time to trial and error that, right?
Yeah. I've kind of played with, because we did a few different.
Like the X versus the star versus the straight.
Yeah, just different cuts and stuff like that. Because what we're trying to do, so you have your block, and I'm not sure if we talked about this last time, but a full 100%, you should be able to get 100% efficiency out of a block.
Yeah.
So what that means is I have 2 pounds, a pound of oak and a pound of soy. Excuse me. And so 100% efficiency is that I should be able to get 2 pounds of mushrooms out of that block. But that's through multiple fruitings. So you can fruit, like blues, you could fruit, I know 2, but sometimes 3.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And so
The fruit you harvest, you keep it in there, and then fruits again.
yep, it'll fruit again.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, until it maximizes all the nutrients in that block, and then it's just spent.
And lion's mane is notorious for you can get until the block shrinks up.
Really?
It'll just keep fruiting, and they'll get smaller and smaller and smaller, and then you'll get a little tiny, little lion's mane.
That's
but,
cool. Little something to take home to dinner.
Yeah, exactly.
But the problem with that is when we're trying to run so many mushrooms through, it's hard to have the room to have second fruitings on those blocks.
And justify it.
Yeah, because we've got, fresh blocks ready to go in.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we know we need to maximize it. And so what I'm trying to do is figure out different cuts on the bag to maximize that first fruiting, that first harvest. So if we're getting, say, 11 ounces on the first harvest of a blue, maybe I can cut the bag different where it wants to actually use more of the block and the nutrients in it on that first fruit, on that first harvest.
Yeah.
And I could get like a pound 3 ounces.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So really trying to learn that and figure out what's going to work best for us is kind of what we're starting to do now.
Yeah.
Since things
We've got a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of that, because it all comes down to money, because it costs so much to make those blocks, and we need, the highest return on them. And so it's hard to keep a second block if there's no room, and then we just throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know.
And
I
that's
can grow mushrooms out of
that's
it.
the only tension point between us.
Oh,
is like, because I'm pro second fruit, he's pro first fruit, and it's like, we got it. I mean, for our profit margin, we have to do second fruits. He's like, we don't have the space. It's like,
tough.
that's true. We don't, but can we?
If we had tents set up that was just for second fruitings, that'd be awesome.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
Braden's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
some way.
But it's we're just producing so much now that we don't even have enough rack space for what we've got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for folks who are listening to this and maybe aren't following you guys, like they need to follow Swift Current Farms on Instagram, and what else are you guys on?
Facebook and Instagram. Cool. We'll soon be launching our YouTube too, and kind of
YouTube
doing.
and kind of we're thinking about doing the podcast.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. We talked about it last time.
Yeah.
Definitely guys should.
Yeah.
Because for folks who the blocks are in the tent, and you can just go online and to your guys' Instagram and Facebook and see all that. And
and that's what these guys are before they're cut open to fruit. The same thing. These are just inoculating blocks. So that's what when we talk about fruiting blocks or blocks, that's what we're talking about.
There we are.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, so folks can get a visual on that, and then go to your guys' channel and check out more of that stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So,
It is it is hard to explain to people because there are so many steps to this, because this is a whole different type of farming that most people know about.
Yeah.
And it is kind of hard to explain.
You got to put it in language that people can translate to traditional farming.
Yeah.
So when I tell people about our grain spawn, I just have to say it's kind of like mushroom seeds that I spread throughout substrate, and then I can make that connection of it's mycelium grain that is a seed that they plant to make, but it's not.
And the substrate itself, it's like we're building the dirt.
Yeah, the soil.
So it's like a bag of dirt that we build. But it's oak and soy.
Yeah, and it's really, really highly nutritious for mushrooms and for mold. So those are two competing organisms that love the same thing, and that's what we try to mitigate through the sterilization and our sterility in our processes, is to make sure that we're not growing more mold than we are mushrooms like we were when we first started.
Oh,
we
really?
went through
That's gonna be heartbreaking.
It was like, you're green.
Yeah.
That means you like your bag of mold.
This is a different color. Oh.
Yeah, darn it. Where did we screw up?
Man, I'd have to be able to keep up with what you guys do, and even just we talk about the problem solving and all that. Man, I would be living on outlines, man. I think if I were you guys.
Oh yeah, and it's fun. It's one of those it tests us every week on something different, and really pushes us to I don't know, find it in ourselves to just keep going and keep pushing. And then I get the reward. Mike's not the market guy. He doesn't thoroughly enjoy going to the market. It's not his gig, man, and that's fine. But that's what gives me energy, is like people either taking our tinctures or eating our mushrooms, and they come back and they're like, this is the dish I made, and they show me and they're like, oh, it was so good, or I'm starting to feel better because we're taking your tinctures and whatnot. That gets me going and gets me pushing. And then he feeds off of my energy, because I come back and he's like he just sits down and he like just lets me, I met this person, this person, this person.
So who'd you talk to?
Exactly, because he knows I'm just gonna be like,
cool. You probably get a bunch of return customers too. They like.
Oh yeah. We've got a pretty solid following, and just getting to know people, and even just talking, because I'm also super passionate about local agriculture and nutrition and health and wellness, and so we have kind of this conglomerate of people coming up and not just asking about like what the tinctures and the polysaccharides that are in the tinctures, what they're doing to their bodies, but also like, oh, I saw you made a post about live or raw milk from the farmer down the road, and it's like, yeah, I did, and it's great, and Katie is awesome, and and then I give them a cart, and so it's like that, building that community outside of just like the mushrooms is what I'm passionate about, and the medicinal side of it. But Mike definitely feeds off of that for sure.
Yeah, that's super cool. And like you said, it's all part of that. Like we kind of talked about last time about the community, but like just like little slices of pie, you know. Like,
absolutely.
You know, like the mushrooms and then the milk, you know, and it's all of us. I think we're all trying to get better health, you know, like whether
absolutely.
it's a disease like mine was Crohn's, you know. So I, you know, talk to you guys and see, you know, like what you guys know about, you know, different health things with mushrooms and medicinals, and then, you know, I think we talked last time about the milk too, because. I think it was Laird Hamilton, big wave surfer, a long time ago, said something about like, you know, problems we're drinking this dead milk. And
It's
never even put it in that. My brain never thought of it that way. I was like,
pasteurized or any kind of like homogenized milk, it's dead.
Yeah.
It's like drinking water.
Yeah.
You might get a little bit of calcium, but the calcium has been broken up into a form your body can't take in. So if anybody's not drinking raw milk, I'm super passionate about raw milk and raw dairy, because it's set up in a way on a molecular level that allows your body to take it in. Yeah. And if you get gentle pasteurization, unhomogenized milk, that's your second best.
Oh, really? If
you go into the supermarket and it's like highly processed, like ultra pasteurized, you're just drinking water, like colored water. It's not going to help your gut. It's not going to help your body.
No, like you said, all the good stuff for your gut. You know, all the live like.
The enzymes that are in raw milk and the amino acids, the chains haven't been broken, so your body they're bioavailable to you. Yeah. And outside of, I think there was one study of a nutritionist, and she took all of the major milks. So you had everything from oat milk, almond milk, goat milk, cow's milk, raw, pasteurized. She did a whole gamut of them. And I wish I would remember the researcher's name, but she found the closest thing to human milk, which are the milk that we should really be consuming, but ethically it's not. The next best is raw goat milk, and then the next best is cow's milk, and that's on a molecular level. Yeah. She was looking at the molecular levels of like how your body processes it.
Which makes sense to me, because even like sometimes little kids, when they're having trouble with breast milk or just like dairy, even if it is non-pasteurized, they go to goat's milk and they usually don't seem to have an issue with it,
Yeah. And then even like, because I had we have a daughter that's super sensitive to like processed milk. I'm going to say processed milk, where it's, ultra pasteurized and not raw. Yeah. She was even like the red milk that comes in the jug, because we drink whole milk, we don't, and I had to wean him off of like skim milk, because I was like, that's even worse for you, man. If you're gonna drink anything, it's whole milk. And she started noticing an immediate difference. She's like, that milk and Kate's milk doesn't hurt my tummy. And it's like, okay, well, we'll just keep buying raw milk, and then when we run out, we'll have to go to the grocery store. And Lifeline actually has, and they're a local producer, they have unhomogenized, so it's the cream on top is what you want, because then it hasn't been homogenized and gently pasteurized. Yeah, I like to kind of chew my milk a little bit. I like the thicker stuff. And I like just straight whipping cream, like cream. That's what I really like in my coffee. Every morning. Yeah, I like the flavor. It's I think people, because all that stuff got taken out, so milk
store milk is different. You know, the pasteurized, homogenized is like everything's out of it. So even like the flavor is different. So then you get like that, you know, straight from the cow milk. And with all the cream and all the good enzymes and all the goodness in it, it does taste a little different. So I think people have a little issue with that at first. And then like the chunkiness,
he is.
he
does it.
Yeah, my wife's had a hard time with
I'm not against it. I'm not against it, but it's just I gotta develop that taste for it.
It's a palate, yeah.
I got kind of lucky because you know my one side of my family, both sides of the family, there's some dairies in my family, like great grandparents. So it was like I don't remember it too well, but like as a really really young kid, I was on more of the dairy, you know, fresh from the cow milk, and then I got older and you know got store bought and convenient. But so I think it wasn't as big of a change to go back to that, and it seemed like it just seemed like more people, like small towns, had that, like just you know their own cow.
The accessibility to it.
So that seemed to be you know easier transition for me to go to that. There's something else I was gonna say about milk, but brain kind of wandered.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh man.
Milk is good. Milk and mushrooms, but
that's what you talk about, like you know, folks who seem to have like some kind of dairy issues, like dairy intolerance, and I think it takes a little bit to go when you go back to. And I'm talking about my realm, so you know.
Yeah, no, you're good.
But it seems like once they go back to like a normal milk that has all the good enzymes and it comes straight from the cow, then their stomach gets a little funky at first because they're not used to it, and then once they get used to it, then all of a sudden they can do like the butter and cheese and milk, you know, without having an issue. When before they'd be like lactose intolerant, you know.
Well, and it's the same thing because I'm a celiac, but I found out that I'm a celiac for like the super highly hybridized wheat. So I can eat corn wheat till the cows come home. And at first when I took it really slow because I have like the next morning reaction where I have arthritis really bad and all my joints, I feel like I got the flu. Really? Super sensitive to it.
She gets it bad.
And even from like seasoning packets that have it. So the littlest amount of wheat really affects me. But then we started buying this corn wheat, and I started with just a little cookie, and I was like, okay, we're gonna see how this goes. And I was like, you know, I had a little bit of, you know, gas and intestinal, like, but then once I started eating it more, I was like, oh, okay, no, I can have pizza again. I can have brownies again. I can have cookies. I can have all the stuff that you're not supposed to be eating, you know, and just like sourdough bread and whatnot. And so I think it like goes back to like finding the food that hasn't been processed or hybridized to the point where we're at now, because that's why we're in the trouble we are, is because we've bastardized our food into something that's not how it's supposed to be, and we're getting sick because of it. That's the thing that's like so frustrating.
It is so frustrating, and so many people I know that have left the country to go like to more remote, like third world, like parts of Mexico, and they were, you know, like one of my friend's daughters has like a celiac gluten intolerance or something, I can't remember, but it's really extreme. Like she was down there eating like corn tortillas and all this stuff that she couldn't, and breads and stuff that she couldn't eat stateside, you know. And it's like, wow. And even the little tiny spit like affects you and affects her, and then even for me, like there's something that was in like taco seasoning, and then it's in a ton of seasonings. Cause like same thing, like just even a trace amount. So I was like, maybe I'll just do a tiny bit of taco seasoning, and like trying different ones, like whatever it is, I still can't figure out exactly what the ingredient is, but it'll wreck me, even a tiny bit of it. It's nuts, you know?
And that's when you go back and like break down the food that's causing the issue. And it's like you take a little, but it hurts and it's not uncomfortable. We don't want to put ourselves through, you know, that kind of pain and whatnot. And then,
totally. It's usually the sleep, you know, because like you said, the GI stress. That actually brings me to a point I want to ask you. If you were going to tell people why they should consume mushrooms as part of their diet, what would you say?
Definitely gut health, cardiovascular, immune. I mean, the list goes on and on. But the overarching, like every mushroom is going to help your immune system, which in turn helps other facets of your body. So I'm a big proponent on, if you're not going to be eating mushrooms every day, take tinctures, because it's just a concentrated form of tinctures. Our Great and Grace that we just released at the first of the year. And that's a whole body tincture. Anytime you're like going to be taking tincture, make sure that they're from the fruiting bodies and they're double extracted. There's some products on the market that we're finding out that don't have good ethics, like every other industry. The pharmaceutical industry, there's good players, bad players, good actors, bad actors, whatever you want to call them. So you have to be
corners.
and they'll use mycelium on grain. to make their tinctures. So then you get the compounds from like whatever grain, like wheat. And then
And it's probably not on the bottle, so if you do
nope,
have, like,
because
wheat allergy,
It's
you
supposed
wouldn't.
to be.
It's supposed to be.
Legally, they are supposed to put on their label that if it's that it's made from
Fruiting body or from mycelium. And
some will put made from mushrooms.
To get around that.
Yeah, so
But
like
it's
that bag of like that grain inoculated grain. Yeah, they'll just take that
And
grind
tincture
up
it.
and make a tincture.
So they haven't gone through the whole process of actually making the fruiting body.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few studies that I'm watching right now as the research comes out. They're highly backed that like mycelium does not have the same nutrient density as mushrooms. So until they're, and I'm one of those, I won't quote any kind of research papers or anything until they're double blind and peer reviewed back studies. Only because there's so many studies out there that you can tweak any information to make it your own or like to fit your agenda. So I definitely I'm very picky about quoting like John Hopkins, any study that's come out from them, and like Stanford and Harvard. Those are pretty solid studies because their method and their ethics are very solid, and they have a long history of having really good research. But yeah, it's like infuriating because people are putting medicine out there that isn't true medicine and they're doing it for profit. And that's the whole pharmaceutical side of things, and why I get so revved up about big pharma and just the pharmaceutical side is because we're supposed to be treating the ailment, not treating the symptoms of the ailment. And that's what we really need to be focusing and directing our money toward. And the only way we can do that is unfortunately going in a roundabout way and doing holistic medicine and doing whole body health.
And be really in tune with yourself for sure, and reaching out and looking for things because, like you said, it's pharma's coming to your TV and your radio and stuff, so you're hearing all that, but like to find like these routes, hopefully like my podcast is helping out, and then you guys, with what you guys do, and hopefully a podcast soon, like get the information out. It's hard to get,
It is, and Big Pharma, I mean, they're unfortunately 90% of their budget is put toward marketing. That should be a red flag in itself. Like their marketing budget is sometimes 3 times as much as the actual research budget. There's something wrong there.
Like just on the ethics level in general. It's like,
and it's like bringing that like human to human. Like I want to help and I want people to get health from that help, instead of like. We could be losing our butt on tinctures, and I'd still be producing them because I myself believe in what the power of mushrooms can do. And it
gets, not to cut you off, but it gets frustrating too because, and I have talked to people that have tried it, like it really didn't do anything, or I'm just kind of, but there's so much on the market that's just bogus.
Just
and
crap
so
product.
it makes the mushroom industry kind of look bad because they're pushing all this tincture, we're supposed to do this and this, but it doesn't do nothing, and it's just a big joke. It's not a joke, it's just a lot of these companies are putting crap out. When you go to buy like mushroom tincture and stuff, you really need to know where it's coming from, how it is extracted, if it's the fruiting body or just mycelium. If it says just mushrooms, steer clear of it.
Don't do it.
If it says fruiting body, that's what you want. But they're just trying to make a quick buck and making the mushroom industry, look stupid.
I could definitely see it, especially go online. It's just like someone can see like a window of opportunity, and like you're saying, instead of going through the whole process, they take the just what you call it,
mycelium, the grain blocks.
Oh dang it. Hold on 1 second.
You're good.
Oh, sorry about that, guys.
It's all good.
So where we leave off?
Oh, we were talking about mycelium and tinctures, and then
and cutting the core and the
So the we were showing Luke earlier, and we did a little intro about it, but the grain block is what I actually use to inoculate these. So it's just spreading that mycelium further. People take that and make tinctures out of it. And there's gluten that will be extracted because gluten is a sugar. So with tinctures, all we're trying to do is isolate the fat-soluble and the water-soluble compounds that are good for the body. And those are just, like, polysaccharides are just carbs. They're just a form of carb. But not like the other thing we need to do as a society is through nutrition and through education is like, not all sugars are bad, and not all bad sugars are carbs, and not all carbs are bad sugars. And, we need to like reframe how we talk about our food. So polysaccharides that are in mushrooms are really, really low carb sugars that your body needs. And then all of the mushrooms that are in tinctures are also adaptogenic. So that means that your body will, the mushrooms will sense what your body needs, and your body will tell those mushrooms what compounds it needs to deliver to a certain area.
Oh, whoa.
So yeah, if you have inflammation, when you take a tincture, and tinctures are just concentrated mushrooms in a bioavailable form. So you take those tinctures, and then your body will tell, hey, I have, inflammation all over. So the compounds in those mushrooms will target that inflammation. So whether it's in your joints, if it's, in visceral fat, inflammation causing, pressure on your organs, it'll tell the mushrooms that, hey, I need this, give it to me, yeah. And then your body uses it. So it's a whole fascinating world that's coming about, like, through the study of mushrooms, is like the adaptogenic properties of them. And then you have the whole like cognitive health and the blood-brain barrier that it is able to go through. Tinctures are one of the only forms, and this is kind of woo-woo science, if you will, but it's delivered in a form that your body doesn't, it makes it completely 100% bioavailable on the contact. So as soon as you put it in your mouth or in your tea or coffee, whatever, you consume it, it goes to work. Yeah. It doesn't need to be digested. It doesn't need to be absorbed. It just starts to work. So huge, and there's no side effects. I mean, right. If there are, there's some people, like, I'm super sensitive to reishi and cordyceps.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if I have a lot of it, I get super, like, jittery, almost like a cup of coffee.
Oh, yeah.
But that's why I've been super cautious of putting, like, milligrams of both of those in our tinctures that I know aren't, unless you're buying straight cordyceps or reishi from us, that's like 100%. You're gonna, maybe do one dropper instead of two.
Test it out a little bit.
Yeah. And there's some people that are super sensitive to lion's mane, and they get almost like a buzz from lion's mane. So we really have to know your body and start slow with tinctures and then work your way up. And Mike, I don't know how he does it. It almost disgusts me. He takes it straight up in his mouth. Yeah. I can't do it. I'm super sensitive to alcohol because there is alcohol. Alcohol is one of the only forms, that you can actually extract fat-soluble compounds. So we use vodka to extract those.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and he just takes it straight up. I have to put mine in coffee, and then you can't even taste it. Yeah. Or your tea.
It just reminds me of my old high school days.
It's back to taking a shot.
Just a shot of
vodka. It's not even a shot. It's like an eighth of a shot that you end up getting. But if you are super sensitive or you're trying to stay away from alcohol, if you do it in a hot liquid, so if you put it in your coffee or your tea, it allows that alcohol to evaporate. You can also sprinkle tinctures in food. People don't realize that. You can add it to stir fries and the alcohol evaporate and you get all those polysaccharides. It's a good way for, if you want to introduce it to your kids, and, as a parent, that's your decision. We're not saying tincture your kids, but we do ours, and, we've seen great benefits from it.
Yeah, I think it helps a ton because, just for me, it's as a parent, and just for, like, even my own health, I think about defensive, it's like, you don't know what you get out in the world, you go get a glass of water somewhere, it might have fluoride or something else in it that you don't want to put in your body, but you don't know it, so like the best thing you do is, have a good defense already, a good offense, right? A good defense.
Yeah, well,
kinda.
both. In a way, both.
Both ways,
yeah. So tinctures are a really good form to get, like, really good amino responses from the tinctures that your body can just, like, it's just a powerhouse for protecting your cells.
Especially this time of year, you're not getting as much sunlight and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I think our bodies too are they are craving health
more than ever.
No end now, because our health is diminishing generation after generation after generation, and the diseases are going up. Our bodies are still craving that health, and it's with the tinctures. As soon as you take it, we know so many people that it's just like, whoa, I just started taking this and I can already feel it and this and that. But it's just your body wants it so bad because it's been neglected of real solid health for years now.
And it's
Totally.
just, it's the way our food system unfortunately is. I mean, and I've really gotten this last month on a kick, and I think I was kind of on it when you showed up last time. But it's like the sugar that's in our food. Dr. Lensting, I probably said his name wrong, but he's a scientist that's starting to come through with Dr. Huberman. He did a podcast with him, and he like just goes like after the food industry. And it's like really encouraging that somebody's stepping up finally and being like, you know what they're doing is wrong. The amount of sugar, this is what it's doing to your body on a cellular level, and reframing health around like our cell health and our our cell health.
Microbiome and all that.
And like just the overall health, instead of looking at like, oh, I have XYZ disease, how do I treat that with a pharmaceutical? Instead of like, oh, well, your diet is 90% processed crap. Let's back off of that. And then that goes into the whole realm of like, if you buy something in the grocery store, how far did that food take to travel, and how many nutrients did it diminish getting in through transportation? So buy local, right? Because that means that your carrot that you're buying from, I'll just throw out Winter Kiss because we love them. If you're buying, your carrot from Winter Kiss, it could be a couple days old, a couple weeks old. And then the ones you're buying from the supermarket could be months old, if not longer.
And just covered in preservatives
and pesticides. And the fact that they're now like using like toxic gas to preserve our apples and that's just like, why were we not informed of this when it started? That's the part of the regulation we need to be like, if they're adding something to even our fresh vegetables at any point from harvest, even pre-harvest, we should be informed about it.
Absolutely, and there should be like a vote. Like, are you guys cool with this? No,
we're not.
And it's just like the trust thing, right? It's like, and I guess we all like generationally, and kind of like you're talking about like with our decline, it's like we all just like trust, that the government and whoever's in charge of our food, FDA and all that are making the right decisions for us. But it's not, and it's proving with all the diseases they're cropping up, and also like with the mushroom intake, in my observations and just a little bit I know of life and how we are as humans these days, and just my own health. No one's consuming mushrooms like they should. Mushrooms are like on their pizza or things like that. Where I think tribally and at a smaller, I guess like in our tribal levels, like our ancestors, generations ago were foragers. So it's like you're getting probably a ton of mushrooms throughout the year. And now we're like zero pretty much. Like if I didn't have it in my diet, I eat a little bit with my dinner, but like especially now with this tincture and then having something that I throw in my coffee, like not much for mushrooms. And I know a lot of people that are friends and family that have zero mushrooms pretty much, unless it's pizza, or pasta or something.
And I think
mushrooms are more of a gourmet, and it depends on the mushroom, but they're more of on the gourmet menu to just how they taste. I can put it with this Alfredo, and that's cool. And, and you can get some specialty like lion's mane that kind of has that crab taste to it. But they don't necessarily eat it for the health benefit. It's just some of them are. I don't know if they want to be cool or what. It's like, oh, we got this special little mushroom we're going to put in this dish and this and that. But it's like there's so much more to it. There's so much more to your health through the mushrooms than just a topping on a pizza.
But it's a good place to start.
That's true. That's true. Like, I do like it on my pizza. I throw in some other stuff. That's a good point. Well, and then like too, I think a lot of people, because the pharmaceuticals, are so used to like a Z-Pack is the one I think about all the time, because I recently had a sinus infection. I remember, but the last sinus infection I had that I treated with a Z-Pack took like 3 Z-Packs. So it's like it used to be like bam, Z-Pack it, and I'd feel good the next day. And I think people are expecting out of their whatever they're taking, like even like medicinal, where it's like you probably will, and if you're like sensitive like us, you probably will feel like right away, but like you may not feel it for a few days. You just gotta give it a little bit of time, and then all of a sudden, like for me in the beginning, it was like, especially if I had a bunch on my plate, and when I first started taking lion's mane, if I had a bunch on my plate, like stress and trying to like juggle a few different things, multitasking and or like just podcasting, and typically I have a question in the back of my head always, like waiting for like
an opportunity.
And sometimes it doesn't come because like we'll get on something else, and but like I was having a hard time holding like questions in the back of my head and listening to you guys, and I started taking lion's mane, and all of a sudden it was like I could feel this balance. And all of a sudden I could hold it all in
Yeah.
my brain and then juggle more things with clarity and without the stress, you know, like, cause for me, if I'm having brain fog, which happens a lot with my medication for my Crohn's, you know,
yeah.
whether it's prednisone or whatever I'm on, Remicade, like all the farm stuff, you know, and so I get that brain fog, and then I get irritable, and then I get angry
And
you know,
frustrated.
and frustrated.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
start cussing it at yourself, but then you can't hardly cuss at yourself because you don't know how to talk.
Yeah, it's just like a train wreck in my brain. You know?
Yeah. I think that's, and you know, I'm undiagnosed ADD. Everybody around me diagnosed me with ADD. And I have noticed a huge difference in like my remembrance of things. Like I could be like, oh, I need to grab the drill from the house because, you know, I took it and forgot to bring it this morning. And then I'll actually remember to grab it. And I don't put things down and then be like, wait, I just had it. I don't do that anymore. Like I used to, or leave the sink on and have the sink overflow. Like I don't do that anymore, and it's starting to get more and more with just like, you know, taking the full spectrum Great and Grace, or if I'm taking like just straight lion's mane. And then the energy level too with hormones. My hormones are starting to regulate more the more I take tinctures. And as a female, that's hugely important, especially with our cycle and whatnot. Because that's a whole other tangent we could get on. But and then just like, I'm not as irritable or testy with my kids. Like I don't have, and I'm not the most perfect parent by any means, but I don't have those like like internal rage moments where I'm like I have to go in my closet for just a hot second.
Take a breath.
I'm gonna be right back, kids. No, I don't have that. It's like just pretty easy flow, and then the cordyceps are huge for like your stamina and libido. So if you have any libido issues, cordyceps is really good for that. And just like overall like energy throughout the day. It's just you don't have that huge, and I take mine with coffee, and I don't have that huge like, and I don't know if it's something to do, and I'd really like to get like down to the science of it, but I don't know if like the cordyceps are just holding back that caffeine like hit that your brain gets, and then you kind of get a little jittery. It's more just a steady throughout the day. And I used to be, and he'll tell you, I used to drink coffee like by the pot all day long, and now 1, maybe 2 cups in the morning, that's all I need.
See, those little things you might not even notice, you know, unless you're like thinking about it. Because like, and I didn't even think about it until you started talking about just like the daily memory thing. Like if I had something and I was doing something, I'd like write it on my hand. Or if I had something to do, you know, like if I was like milk on the way home, I'd be like milk would, you know, my right hand or my left hand would be all ink, you know, like notes that I need to like keep track of throughout the day. You know, and like I haven't even thought about it until just now that I haven't written anything on my hand in a long time because I haven't really needed to, because I've been taking lion's mane and healthier and sugar, you know.
Sugar's terrible. Sugar is a whole.
So bad.
It's so bad for everybody. Like from the moment you're out of the womb to the day you die, like sugar is terrible. And we like sugar. We all like sugar. We like a good brownie with a glass of milk.
Especially on the holidays.
And this time of year, you know, you're confined. Definitely eat way better during the summer, but that's also because of the accessibility to, you know, fresh food. So you have to give yourself, you know, grace in that. But just knowing like that product you're buying off the shelf, how much sugar is in it, and not being aware of it, that's the part that like I read the back of labels every time I pick up something that's not on the perimeter. Like if it's not on the perimeter of the grocery store and I pick something up, I'm like, holy cow, that's as much as a freaking Dr. Pepper.
Oh, I know. And the stuff that you don't expect. I remember someone telling me that a long time ago, like everything has sugar, and it was like, you're right, like everything, you know, even like something that like is more of a salty
crackers. Crackers actually have a lot of sugar in them, and it's because the food industry has used that as power, because then you're addicted. And
you're like, man, these cookies or these crackers are really good. You know? It's more like a cookie.
Your brain is.
I remember in 4th grade, I had this really cool teacher. His name was Mr. Tomei, and he had us all bring in like a wrapper from whatever, and then he also had us bring in like a wrap that had like fructose or sucralose. Did I say that right? Fructose and sucralose. And because none of us knew what it was, so like, all right, you know, bring it in. And so like he's telling us, yeah, that's sugar, fructose, sucralose, and then he like gave us a little tip. He's like I'm not telling you like you got to do a bunch of, especially fourth graders, like probably not going to retain anything anyway.
Yeah.
If you can, the smaller the ingredient list, the better.
Yep.
That was in like fourth grade, and I still hear people talk about that today, and it's like that always stuck with me. And then the amount of sugar too, like with the fructose, I'm like, even as a kid, I'm like, man, why isn't it? It's not, that doesn't sound like natural fructose, So
yeah. Yeah, and sucrose it's not, you can't find it in nature. It's lab made. And then high fructose corn syrup is taking glucose and I think sucrose or fructose and putting them together on a molecular level. So it's all it's not in nature.
Yeah.
Like it's done in a lab. Yeah. And I can't remember, it might have been Dr. Lusting too that was talking about how you can purchase these things and how, if you go to a grocery store, because you can get sucrose. Sucrose is naturally forming. But you buy it in a container this big versus high fructose corn syrup this big, and it's the same price.
Oh, really?
And that should tell you also, like, this is highly processed, this is a little less processed.
Yeah,
but
totally.
yeah.
Man. Yeah, that's the problem is the convenience, right? Like, I was hearing someone talk recently, like, the dollar menu, for all these poor communities, it's like, they can't afford to go get the good food, so they're going to go to the good, McDonald's and get the dollar menu.
Yeah, they've made it. Family. Yeah, they've made it so easy to, when and we're all scrapping by. That's the thing with the way the economy is.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
We're trying. I mean, I never thought I would see the day where you'd walk in and you pay almost $10 for a gallon of milk.
Yeah,
like that's insane.
It is insane.
Or. My phone's ringing.
Oh, no big deal.
Or
Do you answer it?
I'll shut it off.
No, you don't. No, I just didn't know if it was like emergency or something.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
didn't I tell you to turn that?
I'm gonna keep you waiting. Yeah. No biggie. It's all part of the experience. Oh, cool. That's all I was worried about. I was like, make sure the house isn't burned down.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, I mean, kind of, wrap up kind of like all this that we're talking about too, is just like, you really got to take it as an individual level to like, invest in your own health. And
absolutely.
Else. And then now, like you said, with the cost of living, holy cow. Like,
yeah, it's a huge stress. And that's why we've really taken in consideration, like, where our bottom line is, where we can pay our bills, pay ourselves to make, because we have a family to support. Yeah. We're not going to lie about that.
No.
We got to pay ourselves somehow.
Yeah,
and the work. So there's like that, because we could be charging a heck of a lot more than we are. Yeah. And that's just on principle alone. Mm-hmm. We want to make it accessible to everybody. And even our tincture line, like the amount of small batch of love that goes into our tincture, it's really affordable. And it's, for a bottle of that size, it's $35, and the 2 ounces, $25.
Yeah, and that's, some of the big brands that I've taken in the past, like I think Paul Stamets got his line, and I think that's way more reasonable than his.
Yeah.
And not to say, his.
Oh, and yeah, and then we want to make it accessible. And as we get bigger and the business grows, and our processes get quicker, we'll be able to, produce more and keep that, that price line where any family can come up and buy mushrooms from us.
Yeah, because we're all better together. I mean, I know that was like a huge thing we kept hammering home in the last podcast, is like community, and it really is. I mean, like we're strong together, not as strong as individuals.
Absolutely. And being able to partner with some of the CSAs and as add-ons too, just to extend our stretch has been like a blessing.
Yeah.
Because it's allowed us to find people that maybe don't go to the farmers markets or whatnot, and it just allows them to be able to buy mushrooms and have them delivered to their house, and it's great.
And you guys maybe mentioned this before, but do you guys work with any of the local restaurants yet, or you guys
yeah, we work with Cater Table here in Stevensville with Phil, and then Plunk in Missoula, and then we've picked up
Mishi Bar, the ramen bar, and then we work with Western Montana Producers Co-op.
Oh, awesome. They
Growers
go
Co-op.
basically all throughout the state. So
they'll
be distributing. We'll be in Helena, Great Falls, Kalispell. I mean, all over.
Yeah.
And as because you guys are the same health conscious as I am, when I see like Swift Current Farms, and especially since I know you guys, I'm like more amped about it. But like, even if I didn't know you guys, I'm like, oh shoot, these guys are from Stevensville, like I'm definitely gonna get this, or like more pumped about like a food item I might grab that has like, on the menu has you guys on a listing of like mushrooms from,
Yeah,
like, heck yeah.
And I think that's something that's really, I mean, it's becoming a movement nationwide, but the stretch of Montana that we're in, the Missoula County, and then I would even say Lake County down to, we're very, very focused on local and very supportive of local people. And I think that's...
I do think we need to get the word out a little more, to try to get more local farms noticed.
Yeah.
Because there are a ton of small farms.
A lot.
All over. And like with the milk, or even like what's her face that makes the soap. And,
Lily of the Valley.
Yeah, and just those small folks that are either growing or making local products that are healthy for you.
Yeah.
And it's just those little things that try to get the farms noticed and get more people to be aware that we do produce a lot of local food.
Yeah.
Even, some of the ranchers with the grass-fed beef.
Yep.
Which is becoming big.
And, just to try to get, and we've kind of racked our brains on, if we want to start some sort of like a farm coalition kind of thing.
I wouldn't say co-op, because we don't want to be like an aggregator. We don't want to be but I don't know, a community-based like team. It's the only way to
just
really
to help each other and get the word out.
For like a podcast and stuff would be good too.
Well, and that's definitely where we've thrown around podcasts of like, oh, do we want to keep it just mushroom based or farm based? And then it's like, well, I can go on for days and days and days about local food. Yeah. So do we want to tailor it to that? And then Mike's like, well, why don't we just do both?
Yeah, totally, 100%.
So I was like, okay.
We're really trying to get the word out for all these local farms and stuff like that. Because from where I came from, I didn't know, and I was pretty much born. I was born in the Bitterroot. Family's been in the Bitter forever, and then I went to Missoula and stuff, and kind of lost that real connection. Always had a connection, but and then coming back here and starting this, it's like, oh, he's a farmer, and he's a farmer, and he's got that little farm, and it's like, holy cow! I didn't realize there's so many people producing, local food and products and stuff like that. It's like, wow, we need to get more people to know them.
Yeah.
Really get the word out.
Yeah, the people behind it, because I think that you see somebody's logo and it's cool. Okay, it's Bitterroot grown or whatever. It's Montana made. But until you get to know like the person or the family behind it, there's like a little bit of that disconnect. It's like, oh, it's just another person that grows locally here. Like, oh, I see them at the farmer's market. Yeah. But like, oh, this is why they're doing it. This is their passion behind it. Yeah. That's what needs to get highlighted.
And how hard they work
just
to produce food for people.
Yeah, totally. Like the whole family, from like little kiddos to grandparents.
Yeah.
Maybe are out there helping
absolutely.
Harvest or whatever, and
like me and Sarah were talking this morning, coming to work. It was before work, just when we got here anyway. I mean, it's 20-some degrees below zero, and luckily for our farm, it's all indoors.
Yeah.
All the other farmers and ranchers out there, they're out there working.
Yeah.
When people are closing down because it's too cold and we're just going to close down for the day, they don't close down.
You've got animals depending on you, and
so they're working more. Make sure they're out there, make sure the animals are all right, and feeding and all that. Make sure the water's not icing over.
That's what we're doing with our chicken and ducks right now. I'm out there like 3-4 times a day.
Breaking up the ice.
I'm like, I'm sorry, girls. Let me go thaw this out.
Fresh.
Yeah, exactly.
But they need our support.
Totally,
they do, because
and I think we really need to start the conversation of, unfortunately, the lack of support that some of our farmers are facing through legislation, with like the whole raw milk thing. It's the raw milk, and I keep going back to it because it flabbergasts me why technology advances such as like the stainless steel like milking stuff that they use is not what it used to be when they used to use like galvanized pots that was just harbor bacteria. That's not like it is now. And now we have chemicals or cleaning agents that help mitigate, the toxic loads of, the processes. Yeah. So we need to be highlighting that. And then the lack of legislation support for those farmers that are producing raw milk, raw cheeses, raw dairy, raw or organic food, but don't have the money to pay for the licensing of it. We really need to start the conversation of why are our farmers not being supported more by not only our county government but also our state government through funding.
And that one's a subject that I get a little upset about because it's such a big thing, like you said, like there's all those little things too that happen, and then you're really just crushing a whole family or whole community because that community or family like support, it gets supported by the community or whatever, with their farming or dairy, like, but then also like if you go to like the big farms that are these giant producers and they're giant pesticides and the runoff goes in the river and then the animals it's such a big
it's like turning a blind eye to like animal neglect. And I totally support like factory farms. I grew up in the Midwest on a farm and there was factory farms all over and heavy pesticide use, and I used to swim in the rivers that were just laden. Hindsight, probably shouldn't be doing that, but at the time, we were just being kids, and we didn't know what we knew in the 90s and the early 2000s like we do now, that stuff doesn't go away and it's actually severely toxic for you. And that kind of, that conversation behind like why are our farmers being regulated so heavy? And yet I think it was like, it's easier to buy a gun than it is to buy raw milk.
That's nuts.
And there's something like, it's easier to buy XYZ than it is, pasture raised, unwashed eggs from your gal down the street. It's that kind of stuff that we need to start the conversation of. And the only way that big pharma, big industry is going to listen is when we vote with our dollar. But we can't vote for our dollar if they're not even being allowed, like the farmer has good practices and care about their animals and care about their well-being. They're not even giving a chance to let us buy their stuff. That's the part that's like infuriating.
We've had multiple discussions because we've had a little dealings with like the USDA and it is so surprising on how little support that small farmers get. We, as a collective, are trying to help out the community, be there, grow good food, try to make a living. But it seems like our government is so focused on the big producers that have a lot of money that they can then go and maybe fund campaigns or that kind of stuff.
Lobbyists.
Where at the same time, the small farmers are struggling just to live and to supply food for their community.
100%. And too busy to have a voice, so they don't have a voice really, and they're too busy to to have something like this or get the word out in whatever way they can. Even if they can, they're kind of getting probably strangled, by big industry. And
absolutely. And I mean, I would rather pay twice as much for a pork chop if I know that farmer loves their animal and is treating their animal fine. But financially, is that feasible? Like, that's the part that I don't know if the answer is like subsidizing local farmers to help offset the price. I think that's a really good direction, that our local and state and federal government is at least paying through our taxes that we already established and are already paying the farmers to do what they're doing. And I think that's what's happening overseas right now in Germany and France, where the farmers are protesting for a reason.
I saw that, the farmers.
They are pissed because they have been like so many regulations and basically getting taxed for producing. And I don't want to see our country go there. No. I don't want farmers just to get unfortunately, I mean, the average age of farmers, I think, is still 70 and are at retirement age, and they can't, or they're about ready to, and there's nobody to fill that gap. Because you look and there's nothing against YouTube, people making money off of YouTube, it's great, whatever. But there's that generational, like, do I really want to work this hard for my dollar, or just make videos about stupid stuff and make even more? And it's just a societal thing. It's not good, bad, or indifferent of it, but there needs to be some kind of subsidy to the people that are producing our food, and staying away from lab created.
We're back on.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll start with that disclaimer you're talking about, if you want.
Oh, yeah. So I'd like to tell everyone out there, Sarah and I would like to tell everyone that we do not sell psychedelic mushrooms. We do not grow psychedelic mushrooms. We will not. Let me back up a touch. We don't sell psychedelic mycelium or anything like that, because it is still extremely illegal.
Yeah, it's federally illegal.
Whether we agree with psychedelics or not,
and them as medicine,
that is a whole other subject. But we just want to let people know that we don't sell it.
We don't produce it. We don't sell it.
We get asked all the time if we sell or if we can get them psychedelic mushrooms. And even if we could, we wouldn't.
Because it's putting us at risk. In our mission. That's it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because you guys are just pushing health, and eventually I think we'll get there. Like they're
we
talking
will.
about, the benefits of it, and we talked about it a little bit last time, I think, and like with head trauma, depression, all that. Oh, that's what you were saying something about health earlier. I was thinking like inflammation. And let's circle back nicely. Talk about the inflammation and like depression and all the other like kind of like chemical imbalances you get from like the modern day diets, and then like where something like this tincture with 7 different mushrooms.
That one has 6.
Six different mushrooms. So like just all the like you said, inflammation seeking and reducing compounds that come in mushrooms. Chemical, I guess, would it be?
Well, it's compounds. They're polysaccharide. I mean, we could do a whole podcast on the science behind mushrooms, but for
That'd
like
be
just
one I just
like the nitty gritty of mushrooms is just they help your overall health. Like and then even playing in with psychedelics, even though they are highly illegal and there's more research backing their benefits of it, it needs to be treated like medicine, and it needs to have proper research to back that in order to help individuals, because there are numerous studies with like PTSD and psychedelics and emotional trauma and whatnot that they're showing very good improvement through one like guided trip. It's not that we're against self-medication or for self-medication or anything like that, but there is that premise of like, if it doesn't fit within our mission, we're not going to endorse it. And until the research comes out and it's federally recognized as medicine, then we'll maybe touch on it. But as of right now, the mushrooms we are growing are so medicinal heavy that
and we've talked about psychedelics as far as growing them and stuff, and she is on the registry to be certified to grow it.
Not administer it, just to grow it.
Grow it, but we would only sell to like the universities or study groups or psychiatry, whatever.
Psychotherapist.
Not street corner kind of stuff like that.
And we might get to the
concerts.
Exactly. And we might get to a point where it's like the marijuana industry, where it just took some growing pains and for us to figure out regulation, because it is a psychoactive compounds within psychedelics that can have negative effects on people, just like marijuana, or if you really want to go down it, just like food.
Like food.
So there needs to be a wider education and research that goes along with it. But as of right now in 2024, we do not grow, distribute, or have any access to any kind of psychedelics. So
I think it's important to get that out there too. I mean, but like you said, all the other wonderful mushrooms you guys do grow. I mean, we're talking flavor, health benefits. It's such a great plant.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So like, even just by itself, and then like you said, down the road, if the medicinal psilocybin industry kind of starts to take off, and I think it does. Like you guys were kind of saying, needs a little bit more structure because, like you guys were talking earlier, like it. If you go to, like, I think there's some places in Mexico I was reading about where you can go in and it's like you have a doctor, you have like a
psychotherapist.
Psychotherapist, yeah. So you get like a team of people that are helping you get through something, and with,
And that's the way it should be treated.
Yeah.
Because I view it as a gift from nature that was given to us that needs to be. Regulation isn't the right word because then you go down people are just trying to make a buck, and there's so much like language that can be transferred from the big pharma that's really negative. But there definitely needs to be an appropriate amount of guidance through like the healing process, and that's when you surround yourself with people that know that's what they've done, that's what they've studied, that's how they have that gentle guidance through it. Because I'll be the first to tell you a bad trip is a bad trip and you don't ever want to do it again. But that's not to mitigate, like, if it would have been in a different circumstance or in a different environment, that there wouldn't have been healing involved with that.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
And
tying to that too, like historically as tribal, we're all tribal people at one point, and every tribe has some kind of ceremony, whether it's peyote or what's the one that people are always talking about in South America, where you have shaman and
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. There's always
every region has it.
With the big group gathering community, and there's people there, like the shaman's there to help guide and make sure you're safe and administer the right amount of whatever the substance is, and help you along, like you said, and to hopefully prevent something bad happening. And if it does, to be there to help you, it not be so bad, hopefully. In a controlled environment,
Because there are so many benefits to it.
Even through microdosing that they found.
You have to be responsible. And use it the right way.
And that's there's a lot of history with, like, not even just psychedelics or psilocybin or anything, but the use of mushrooms in healing practices, that they think that microphobia came back to because women naturally were the nurturers, were the healers, and in either prehistoric tribes or really early tribal cultures, they would use mushrooms to help heal, whether it be lion's mane or psychedelics or psilocybin. And they would use those mushrooms to help heal people. Well, you have, maybe somebody might have seen like the administration of like psychedelics as witchcraft, and then through generational, like, that mushroom might make you trip, man, or it might kill you, like, I'm not going to take a gamble. So that microphobia that comes along with it, totally understandable. But I think that once we get back to like the acceptance of like the healing powers of mushrooms on a very basic level, the further we can start the conversation of like, not all mushrooms are going to kill you, not all psychedelics are going to make you trip, they might just give you like a chill out, not all mushrooms are that hang on trees are non-toxic and ones on the ground are like, the conversation, and the more we talk about mushrooms and other foods, I think it's just going to benefit everybody.
Absolutely. More awareness, more education on all of it, and that's kind of like the one of the big things we talked about this whole podcast is just like more of that education and awareness thing. Like even before my damn GoPro overheated, we were talking about like the local farmers and stuff, and like them being too busy to have their own voice. So
Absolutely.
Hopefully through conversations like this we're helping move that along. Well, shoot, I probably wrap it up before this thing dies on me again. You guys got, no problem. Do we leave anything else off?
No, I mean, we could sit here and talk to Luke for hours, so.
Man, I appreciate that. That was a great time. But like during the break, we were talking about like the expansion that you guys are, forced. Like you guys don't really have a choice. You're gonna have to keep growing, with the need, which is awesome. But I was even like picturing, as we're like walking around and coming back here to set up for the podcast, I was like, I could already like picture like walking through like rows of like these, your blocks and like in the future. I was like, man, just got a good feel about this. I'm so pumped to know you guys.
No, we appreciate it, and it's been fun. It's been an interesting journey so far, and I'm sure it's just gonna get a little crazier. But
every chapter has been, good and bad. I don't want to say bad, but there's been challenges.
Well, to have that right mindset, totally. Like, and I guess keep around a little bit longer, but you said, about like having, you guys were overproducing for a hot second and then got in touch with the person at the CSA, right?
Yeah, or the co-op.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden that like made you grow a little more, right? Because all of a sudden
and put us in perspective. It humbled us.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we aren't doing as much as we thought we were or could be doing. So,
Yeah, it really opened our eyes on, actually, just the, what am I trying to say?
potential.
The potential and, just the amount of people that are screaming for mushrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was even telling us, because he didn't, the guy that we're working through for the
Ben,
Western Montana Co-op, he didn't want to really let the cat out of the bag that there's a new mushroom producer. And so we were just kind of having little meetings and kind of getting things,
gentle,
guys, right?
gentle,
just kind of getting things in line, and okay, we're going to try to start, with this week and blah, blah, blah. And then Chef started getting a hold of him. And he's like, hey, your social media must be doing really well because I've got people calling me for your mushrooms.
That's awesome.
And we haven't said a word, that they're going to be covering or anything. Or wait, I did. I made a video.
He made one video, one short, not even video.
Yeah, and I said Western Montana Co-op, and he said, I've got people wanting to buy it right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's like, oh, lovely. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, go, let's go.
Yeah.
He's really good at like, again, humbling me and bringing me down. And like, Sarah, I know you want to do this, but it takes a month.
Yeah.
It's like, why aren't we? Let's go, 500 pounds. Let's go.
We can do it. Yeah.
And Mike's like, no.
We're racks. We're not going to.
Exactly. Because I was like, we can start stacking them like along the edges as long as we keep the floor clean. And Mike's like, no.
Well, that's a good balance, though. Like having that between you guys, and it shows. I mean, the chemistry you guys have just between you two is huge. Like, quadrupled since I was here last time.
Yeah.
And then like we were talking about like the ceiling, like I was stuck. I'm like, not ceiling, the sky's the limit, with you guys, and it's like a cliche, but it's so true. Like my brain was kind of working with your guys' brain on like, local restaurants, and there's Montana as a whole, but especially in this side of Montana on the western side is like Southwest is a bunch of foodies, like all those outdoorsy folks like our fresh, tasty foods. So I was like, I think, I knew it would be good, but then to see like it just like blow up like it started to do is awesome.
Yeah. And it's like I said, it's been fun, but it's so much stinking work. And that's one thing that people don't really realize, because we've had people ask, well, why aren't there more mushroom farmers? And we heard or read something that actually mushroom farming is one of the most labor-intensive farming practices out there.
Oh, gee, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
And that's why there isn't. And I think that since we are just not stopping, and we're just going to keep going until we're dead.
I was just going to say it. Because you guys don't have like a growing season, so you guys can literally work year round and work yourselves to death.
And we almost have.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so much work involved with it, and I think that's why we have put ourselves in this situation to be able to provide as much as we can.
Yeah, and part of the reason why I was wanting to talk to you guys about that a little bit is just motivation for people who are starting off something new, and like it looks so big and like don't know exactly where it's going to go, like with you guys and even with my podcast a little bit. And then you said you guys both were talking about, you said the what you were working for your, what did you say, something about like work for your
trading.
I was trading my time for my money, and then where I could actually start trading my money for my time. Yeah, because like with sterilize, like I was telling you, this to sterilize 32 blocks was taking about 16 hours a day in 2 pressure cookers.
Yeah.
Where I could have built that sterilizer earlier, but we needed racks, and we needed tents.
It's just prioritizing.
And the oak and the soy and all that. And it's like, okay, put my money over here, so I'm not going to spend the money here, but it's going to take us 16 hours a day, basically 7 days a week to sterilize.
Yep.
Yeah.
For 6 months. Actually, we did it longer than that before we moved here, but for dang near a full year straight.
And most people, when they get up to producers, get up to where we're at, they're not using pressure cookers.
And it was kind of one of those, we're kind of still, you know, hobby growing on this side, but trying to, you know, be a main producer.
And reach the demand on the other side.
And so, but it's very rewarding, but it's been a lot of stinking work.
I bet, man. Yeah, so much, you know, but like the commitment, you know, is paying off, and like part of the, I don't want to grow mushrooms at all, but like the one thing I am envious about is the community that you guys have, is because you're like going to the farmers markets and everything, like you were talking, people just, you know, talking earlier about people coming up and be like, hey, I feel great, and you know, love making this dish with your guys' mushrooms, and like I really like the idea of, you know, going to Missoula in early morning and setting up your
a little booth space, and
so
it is cool. I mean, I'm introverted and extroverted at the same time. My social battery is completely drained and also completely stimulated at the same time after the market. So it's great, but we definitely want to keep that community feeling to the business and the farm. Even while we're hiring people, we want it to feel like a very relaxed, chilled, but hustle family feeling, no matter how big we get. And that's something that early on Mike and I were very like, this is how this business is going to be set up, and we're never going to be so detached from the business that we don't have that feeling of community and family within the business.
Smart,
because I think it does, and I think it keeps, it not only keeps us humbled, but it also keeps whoever we decide to bring on as a team member, that they know that, like, your family, man. Like, if something happens in your family, we want to be like a good friend that's also your boss, and that respect level is still there, but still have that, like, that good feeling of like, I belong somewhere that's making a difference in our community. That's what we want.
And it seems like all these newer industries that are coming up, you know, like, you know, Black Rifle Coffee is kind of a bigger one that has exploded in, like, in our time frame. But they're still like veteran owned and veterans, and they try to keep it family, you know. Like, it seems to show, you know, the quality is still staying in their coffee, even though they've gotten so big. And, you know, with you guys as well, you know, and then you guys just like improving. I mean, like, the t-shirts, I keep coming back, but that's so awesome and so convenient. You know, it's so nice to be able to like have this, like you said, splash in your coffee, or just take it straight up like you might. You know? Which I'm gonna try like your stuff first.
Good luck
to you. I like to taste the medicine. You know?
That's what he says. It's like, he goes, I know I'm taking it, and I was like, see, and I don't want to taste it.
How getting the old coffee. I might go that route, but shoot, well, I appreciate you guys. And so Swift Current Farms on Instagram, Facebook, and then podcast in the works.
YouTube.
It'll be nice when we can actually get to marketing. Because we have such a long list of things we want to do as far as marketing and trying to get the word out, just trying to inform people. But once we get things really dialed in, which probably maybe within just a few weeks, we're going to probably start.
And part of that is just me, and I keep telling Mike, like, I used to work at Clearwater, loved the job, loved the people I worked with, but there was this underlining, I'm pressure from them, but underlining like anxiety that I had to hurry and like get home and take care of the kids so then I can go to work and commit, 8 hours of my life to them, and like make sure I'm doing a good job, because I'm a very prideful person when it comes to my hard work, and then I get anxiety being at home. And now that I'm full time, I'm still like kind of like trying to figure that I'm kind of lost. Still.
That's when people are doing what you guys are doing. Though, you know? Most people are doing the 9 to 5 for somebody else. You know, being the employee, and so I think everyone feels that anxiety. I mean, me, I'm still doing that. You know, for the Forest Service. So. And it's so once I'm able to kind of be like, no, you don't have to feel like you got to get everything done between 3 a.m. and 5. You know. That's a rough work schedule.
I mean, and he would make comments of like falling asleep at like 7 o'clock. You know, like at making dinner, like, oh, I'm so tired.
Like zombies.
That's
brutal.
It'll happen. We'll get more on social media, and because people are interested, and we want to bring everybody along, for the journey.
So like I said, so much education, so much knowledge that you guys are bringing, and just once you guys get the social media, the more photography, because you do like a little bit on the your other Instagram, right? Videoing and photography and stuff.
Yeah, not as much anymore.
I've
I've really,
that's what I'm saying.
I wasn't having time to do it.
I'd like to get back into photography and stuff again, and video editing and producing and stuff, but it's just, this is my main focus right now.
Yeah, it's life right now. But I was thinking even like, just once you guys maybe have a few other people, you have a little more time, like to video a lot of the process.
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah. That's
that's gonna be so cool.
He'll just be switching it and still carrying that passion and quite frankly talent, because he's very, very talented in photography.
That's what I was thinking. Well, you got a lot of experience behind it, right?
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit last time, right?
We're gonna really start doing some cool stuff once we get time and stuff with photos and video and stuff like that. There's going to be we want to put out a lot of content as far as,
showing the good, the bad, and the ugly, because there's not, unfortunately, a lot of YouTube videos online that show the really nasty part of mushroom growing. Like, things can get, even us being as clean as we are, there's just, we're growing an organism, and so there's a lot of filth and dirt that comes along with that, and we want to show that, like, no, so learn from our mistakes, don't use this kind of tubing, use this tubing.
Well, you talked in the beginning, like there's no like blueprint or even like guidebook, so like you guys doing that is going to be huge for other people. Maybe they just want to do like you guys started off in the shed, maybe they just want to do like something something small for themselves. So having that kind of information from you guys is going to be huge. Well, I appreciate you guys letting me hang out with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, appreciate you coming over and chatting with us.
Anytime.
We'll do it again for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for everybody tuning in.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.